It is now time for our feature presentation. Spoiler warnings. It's time for our final review of the night. We have 2014's Housebound.
Your client has been through a number of these treatment programs in the past, and the results have been less than spectacular. Miss Bucknell is in need of stability. I'm therefore ordering an urgent report into the suitability of her mother's house for a sentence of 8 months home detention.
Gosh, that's high tech, isn't it? Aren't you lucky, Kylie, having all that fancy technology on your foot?
Nice being back home.
Some things have happened since I've been here. Things I can't explain.
I'm not the only one who thought there was a ghost in this house, Kylie.
What are you going to do against a hostile spirit?
I'm gonna smash it in the face.
When you put an overactive mind in an inactive environment, there's bound to be complications.
I don't need a counselling session, I just need to get out of this house!
Oh no, they've been doing this all week. Hold on.
The restless spirit that lives in this house, what is your business here? So, are you happy to proceed with the story that Mr. McRandall was attacked by a vengeful ghost?
Yes.
Righto.
Well, Housebound is kind of one of the reasons I actually wanted to do this tournament. There's a few foreign films that I really liked, and I was like, oh man, we should just do foreign films. I was like, well, instead of just putting random foreign films together, let's separate them by country. We could even make it a fun little tournament. And so here we are. Dwayne, what you think of Housebound?
Well, I like to watch a lot of horror movies, and when we're doing this tournament, and when we're doing this, you know, I've heard of some of these movies before. Like, I had actually seen Wolf Creek before we reviewed it. I had heard about Dumplings, Train to Busan, Wailing, some of these other movies. Of course, I've heard of Bad Taste. I just never seen it. And I'd heard of Black Sheep. I think I even saw it like at a Walmart 15, 20 years ago almost. But I'd heard about Housebound. I heard Housebound was a really good movie. I just hadn't had the time to sit down and watch it yet. And I do believe that this was, like you said, the reason why we're doing this is movies like this, because this was a great movie.
Yes, it was. And speaking of that, this guy comes full circle. On the front of the box, it says, a wonderful, witty comedy horror that delights in scaring the hell out of you. Bloody brilliant. By Sir Peter Jackson. So, even Peter Jackson of Bad Taste likes this movie. And me and Dwayne, we fucking loved Housebound. It was such a blast. It was good, great suspense, great acting, great directing, great comedy. It's just blended so perfectly with such great care. This movie is phenomenal. I mean, I'm not even joking. This movie, this is probably the 5th or 6th time I've seen it, and I loved it just as much this time as the other 5 times. That's how you know. To me, a great movie, it's all about, can you rewatch it? That's why I get upset with movies. When you watch it once, you'll probably never watch that again. Or like if you say like it's just kind of a sour taste at your mouth at the end of the film after you're going through this huge journey. You may like the movie as you're watching it, but by the end you're like, it's kind of just sour. I don't think I'd watch it again. To me, the whole point of making a movie is for it to have a legacy that will outlive you. Like Wizard of Oz or like Casablanca, Jaws, those movies people seen probably 100 times. I think to me the key to making the perfect movie is rewatchability, and I've seen this like 5 or 6 times, so to me I think this movie's gonna last hopefully a long time.
I agree with you. Like I said, we talked about, like, everybody heard Train to Busan. I watched it and it was really good. Like, hey, I could watch it again.
Yeah.
I watched Housebound last night, and I wanted to have it be fresh in my mind when we did our review.
Yeah.
And when Donna come home last night, I was just telling her about it. I just couldn't wait to tell her about it, because I thought it was like, I heard it was a good movie, and I was trying not to watch any spoilers on it, and I heard it was a ghost story and all this stuff, and it was scary and good, and it starts off like that, and then it turned into a bit of a comedy at the end, and that's what I like, horror comedies, and this one was just so good, because the movie starts off with like a little crime scene, so you think maybe it's a horror drama, or horror action, horror suspense. And then it goes in the middle, it's a horror ghost story type thing, and at the end it turns into a lot of comedy actually at the end. And I enjoyed it because of the way it just kept flowing better and better and better. It got to the end, I was like, oh my god, this is a great movie. Mm-hmm. This is really good.
So the movie's about this girl named, like, I think her name is Kylie.
I think so, yeah.
Kylie. She is kind of like I guess a little bit of like a hood rat. Her and her friend or boyfriend, they go to rob an ATM, and then like her boyfriend or whoever knocks some fucking self out with the sledgehammer after he's hitting the damn ATM and knocks himself out. Oh, she's a badass, so she manages to quickly get up in there, rip that box out, and then she's driving off, and then there's a funny scene where she's dragging his ass to the car. I thought that was funny, and then she's trying to make this gate, and she runs over this, like, I guess this like road thing, or this, what would that be, like a...
It was like something when the ATM got busted, it's put up little things in the road, or they couldn't drive out of there, like you couldn't get away from it, so it's like stopped them from escaping. Yeah,
and then she goes, and they were like, she gets arrested, and they were very lenient. Like, the judge said, she's been doing crime for a while. And so they were super lenient. If this was in America, her ass would be fucking 10 years. But it's in New Zealand, and they were super lenient on her. So the way she got out of it, I think she had to do like 9 to 10 months.
8 months.
Yeah, 8-9 months being stuck. House arrest at her mother's house. And you could tell that right away that her and her mom doesn't have the best relationship. And she goes over there, and right away, she's causing friction with her mom. Her mom seems like a very sweet lady, but, which I kind of relate with. There's some friends or some relatives that no matter what they do, it just gets on your nerves. Everything they do, no matter what it is, it just like grinds your gears, and they just get right under your skin, even if they're being nice. And this is what Kylie's mom is to her. Everything she does just irritates her, and just gets on her nerves. And you can tell that they do this well. They show it in like she's just being completely rude to her mother.
Eating the food.
Yeah, eating all the food. Like, she wouldn't let her watch, because her mom and her stepdad wanted to watch their favorite program, and she's like, nah, you're good. Just being rude to him. And oh my god, and then like just seeing the relationship throughout the film rebuild, and that's what I love. Like seeing them start here and end here. I love that kind of character development, and they did it. To me, they did it perfect. And then he slowly starts hitting into horror aspect, because she's watching a late night radio show where they talk about supernatural stuff, and her mother calls on the show telling them that the house is haunted. And the next day she's basically calling her mom stupid. She's like, this thing I was saying, what are you talking about? And her mom's like, you just don't remember.
Yeah.
And slowly she starts to notice things kind of freaky
Her
as well.
repressed memories start coming back from when she was a little younger.
And then she starts noticing creepy things as well. Like at one point she's in a basement, and like a hand grabs her, and it freaks her the fuck out. And then she keeps calling her, I guess it'd be her parole officer, or like what would he be?
I think he's just like a security guy to make sure that she doesn't leave the property.
Yes.
Every time she does, it sets off an alarm, so he has to go and find out what's going on.
This guy named Amos, he keeps coming and checking on her. He works with the company, and He keeps popping up. He's actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
He keeps popping up and he's hilarious. And then he actually, instead of like him being like you're crazy, what you talking about, he's 100% in on this ghost thing. He instantly pulls out a tape recorder and, all right, let's do this shit. He wants to find it.
It's like, is anybody here at this time? Has anybody died at this time? He says, I'll run through filter to see if anybody says anything. It's just, he's like all aboard on the ghost hunter part of it.
Yeah. And then like, it gets weirder. Like at one point she wakes up and there's like this creepy demonic teddy bear talking to her in a room, and she goes in the fireplace. She takes a shower, that fucking bear jumps in the shower with her. At first, I watched it, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, this is a possessed bear or something, like a demon possessed or ghost possessed.
And then later on you find out that some girl who looks like her was murdered in this very house, and it used to be like a, I guess like what would it be, like a halfway house for younger people.
Yeah.
And this girl was brutally murdered in her room, and then they got it on a discount. So now they think that it could be the girl haunting the place, or you know whatever. And then they're trying to figure out who murdered the girl. And they have this great scene where they think it's the neighbor, and they go in, and they're trying to get one of his dentures.
Yeah.
And then the most badass thing ever. She finds the guy asleep, and she just walks up while he's asleep, puts her hand right in his mouth to pull his fucking dentures out. I was like, what the fuck? You know, she had some damn balls under this girl. Like, she didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. This is like where the comedy starts to come in, because she tries to get Amos to help her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm going to, and she's smart, because she's a thief. She's done these things before. So she goes to an abandoned car, grabs a spark plug. She's like, oh, he's like, what do you do with that? Because if I have to bust a window, I'd use a spark plug to bust a window. And he's like, okay. She goes, well, nobody's just going to leave her keys out for somebody else to get in. And then they grab a big bucket to put so she can step on, and then the keys were there. So it's like what she said wasn't going to happen actually happened. So it's when you're like, oh, that's pretty funny there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, with Amos being part of the best characters, she tries to escape one time, and Amos goes to stop her, and she's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can't stop me. He just slaps her in the face, and she's like in awe that somebody actually did that to her and stuff. He's like, you're going to go back right now. So
yeah, they had such a great dynamic, the two of them. And also, like, when they were trying to escape, the first time he gets caught in like a bear trap or something. So she hides him under this like car thing. And I thought for sure he was going to fucking get killed right there, but he didn't. And then later on, Amos tries to get back in there to get the dentures that got lost. And then the guy catches him, and he tells him that, hey,
that the kids from the halfway house would escape sometimes, and they'd come over and stay at his house to get away from the other kids. And I guess there were some mean people that were running the halfway house.
Yeah.
So he was like giving them shelter.
Yeah, and he took on one kid named Eugene, and he said he used to beat the shit out of him, and one day he beat him up really bad, and then the next morning he never saw him again. You know, he was to go check on him, he was gone. And he said this kid's like this super genius, could like build anything, could tear it apart, rebuild it. So now they think, you know, it's Eugene, you know, is the killer. And they go tell the police. The police come over and they bring her, I guess he would be like her therapist, right?
Therapist, yeah.
And midway, she's trying to tell him what's going on, and everybody thinks she's crazy. I don't know where the hell Amos went right here. Because he went to the police station to verify her story. Said it's true. When it went back to her house, Amos wasn't there. What the hell happened to Amos? I don't know. But and midway through this conversation, Dennis pulls out his dentures, and then Kylie runs downstairs, looks through some files. Turns out that the girl who was murdered was her, I guess would be her therapist or her supervisor. It was Dennis. And then when she goes upstairs and she tells her mom about it, they go kind of, I guess, maybe confront him with it. And then they find the dead body of one of the cops. And then Dennis comes out, he's a full murderer, and they have this great cat and mouse chase fight with Dennis throughout the house. And it was so much fun. And when they're running around the house, we also discover that Eugene is not the killer. He actually has been living in the house the whole time. huge plot twist. Did you see the plot twist coming that Eugene was actual? What they thought was the ghost the whole time.
So a little bit I did, because ghosts are supposed to be incorporeal, no body, but she's always hearing creaking, and she's like following the creaks through the house, so something's moving in the house.
Yeah.
So if a ghost floats, it's not that. But then after that part where Amos talks to the neighbor, he's like, yeah, this kid was a genius, this kid's mechanical whiz, he could build anything, rebuild anything, he tries to make things better, tinkering with stuff. He says, but you want to see his room, and you look and it's like a crawl space under the house. So you think that this kid's was living like in a crawl space in the house. And then you start thinking about how she's always hearing stuff and everything. And I forget how she sees it, but somewhere she's looking, and then she falls somewhere or sees a hole in a room or something, and she crawls in, and all of a sudden she's going through this crawl space that Eugene was using to maneuver in the house. Then she finally sees Eugene, but she sees all this technical stuff that he's built in the house.
Yeah.
He's been hiding in the house for years and
Since
stuff.
before they got there.
Yes, yeah. So it's pretty cool that's what was going on.
I didn't see it coming, but I think what threw me was the bear. When the bear jumped in the shower, I was like, oh fuck, I guess it is a ghost. And then I just realized, oh, someone just threw it in there. I was like, why the fuck would he throw it in there?
Yeah, I think Eugene had reworked it or rewired it to like be nice, but didn't work out that way, and it made it scared her and stuff and everything. Yeah.
But as a run from Dennis, they kind of find Eugene again, and Eugene kind of lets them hide there. There's a funny scene too where like she's freaking out and she just been stabbed by Dennis, and like her mom hands her this thing she thinks it's water, and she's like, oh my god, that's not water. And which they later use to throw Dennis's face, and he freaks the fuck out. They keep chasing him, and then at the very end they finally fight in the kitchen, and then you think he's about to kill him. Like he knocked the fuck out of Kylie, punched in the face, she's knocked out, and he's fixing to kill the mother, and then Eugene wakes her back up and gives her, what was that he came in?
It's like a steak fork.
Steak fork?
It's like a steak fork. It's one of those really long ones that you hold a steak where you go to cut it or you take it to get it off a grill. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Kylie jams it through the bottom of his jaw. And then you also know there's a wire attached to it, and Eugene goes all the way over and plugs it in, and like it blows Dennis's fucking head off. Blood goes everywhere, badass as fuck. And there's a scene where Kylie and her mom are fighting Dennis on the roof, and like her mom falls and she runs and catches her. And I was like, oh man, it's such a beautiful moment seeing them like just not like each other, or at least her not like her mom, can't stand her, and now they're on the roof surviving together, have each other's backs. And I thought that was such a great build up to that, her saving her mom. And after Dennis is dead, it cuts to the end of her probation. Amos comes in and cuts the ankle bracelet off, and they're trying to film it as this momentum thing on the camera, and they notice it's dead, like, how's it dead? And they're like, you realize Eugene's been playing with it, and so they let Eugene stay there, which is pretty cool. The actor who played Dennis was on the show Xena Warrior Princess, which was, I remember that show as a kid being on. Also, he was on Power Rangers Dino Thunder and Power Rangers Mystic Force, and he played Dr. Cog in Power Rangers Samurai, and he was a Power Rangers Super Mega Force. I don't know why a lot of these New Zealand guys are all over Power Rangers. I don't know if it's filmed there or what. But anyway, this movie was nearly 2 hours, and it flies by because it's such a great film. Dwayne, did you have a favorite scene in this movie?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because like I said, I like horror comedies, and this one started off like really scary, and then it kind of switched to the comedy part. When Eugene got introduced, he's scary looking. He's been hiding in like the crawl space for years, so he's kind of scary looking. So you're afraid that maybe he's a evil or something. And he turns out to be the best part of the movie at the end. He's just so funny. He's one of these people that you would think is probably not had a lot of contact. He's been hiding for a while and stuff. And there's a part where, like you said, when Dennis knocks the main character out, she's laying there and he's trying to kill the mom. Well, his little cabinet door opens and you see like little fingers from Eugene just step out and he just starts tapping her on the head trying to wake her up. And that just made me laugh because you see all this violence going on. He's just like tap, 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 trying to wake her up. And that's when he hands her that steak knife thing. But there's a part where they're trying to hide. They're trying to run from Dennis and hide. And he's like, I know a place where you can hide. And they're like, where? And he just throws a sheet over his head. And they're like, well, what we do? And then you realize that that's what he thinks hiding is putting a sheet over his head because he looks like a ghost and he can't see ghosts and stuff. So him throwing a sheet over his head made it look like him thinking that's how he hides from people. And that's probably how he has hidden because in the basement there's a lot of sheets over a lot of the furniture.
Yeah.
So he's been hiding down there in the basement, like, you know, not spying, but if he goes to get out to do something, he'll throw like the sheet over his head and they just think he's a piece of furniture in the basement and stuff because you see him moving around at the beginning a little bit in the basements. But yeah, that's how he hides. I just thought that was the funniest thing. I was like really busting out laughing when I saw that's how she's like, how do we, this is how he hides, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And then right after he puts that on, he gets stabbed right in the damn back by Dennis. I thought he was dead when they did that, but he gets up. He turns out he's fine. Oh man, this movie was so great, Dwayne. What are you going to give this film?
So I really enjoyed this film. We already talked about how great it is and everything. Like I said, there's not a lot of films I give really high scores to, but this is going to get a 9 out of 10 on
Holy
me.
shit.
I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it started out one way, then switched a little bit, and then it went from drama and action to ghost to maybe it's just a murder, solve a murder, all the way up to like just a really good comedy at the end. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. One thing I want to talk about before I jump into my pros and cons was what happened to Amos. Because when she figured out, you know, when she found Eugene, she went to the police station, and the cops were like, they didn't believe her. Amos came in and he verified it because he figured it out a different way by using the bear, and he found some old tapes of her younger her talking to Eugene. He comes in there and verifies her story. They go to her house, and Dennis convinces the cops and her mother she's crazy. But where's Amos? Like he figured it out too.
Yeah.
And then when they went back talk about it, she's just crazy all of a sudden. And then when they figure out it was Dennis, they find a dead cop in the shower. Where did the other cop go? Because there was 2 cops.
Yeah.
Where did the other cop go? I don't know. Anyway, that really. Also, I kind of wished they would have maybe figured out, maybe dropped a little more clues that Dennis was the killer. You know, because really just kind of all just boom, here we are, it's Dennis. Yeah. I kind of wish maybe 1 or 2, not too many, just 1 or 2 little nuggets would have been discovered a little earlier. That way maybe the audience could figure out it was Dennis. But besides that, that's really my only nitpicks for this film. So it's time I do my pros and cons for Housebound. My pros: great script, casting, and directing. Great mystery, great suspenseful scenes, great comedy. My 5th or 6th time watching it and I still love it. Cons: questionable motives and reasoning from the movie's villain. Honestly, I think even if with that paperwork she found, I don't think they would have been able to convict Dennis off of that. I think he would have killed all them for no reason. Alright, with that being said, I'm giving Housebound 9 months of mommy and daughter bonding time out of 10.